Welcome to 21st Sports. Football is back, and so are we, and we're talking Detroit Lions at the Indianapolis Colts in their Week 1 matchup, September 11th, 2016. As these two teams opened the season up against each other, and Caldwell made his return to Indianapolis against his former team, the head coach for the Lions. Of course, he's been in Detroit now for a while, but in this game, there was plenty of points. Lots of offense scored. It looked like the Lions were in control early on. They started off by putting the first points on the board, a 21-yard touchdown run by Theo Riddick to make it 7-0. That was the only scoring in the first quarter. Then in the second quarter, Dwayne Washington scored on a 1-yard touchdown run, and it was 14-0 Detroit over Indianapolis. Adam Vinatieri put the first points on the board for the Colts with a 50-yard field goal from the Hall of Famer to make it an 11-point game at 14-3. But the Lions came right back as Matthew Stafford hit Eric Ebron for a 6-yard touchdown pass that made it 21-3 with less than 2 minutes left before halftime. But then Andrew Luck led the Colts down the field 75 yards in a minute and a half, and he capped it off with a 2-yard touchdown pass to Dante Moncrief. With the extra point by Vinatieri, it was 21-10, so an 11-point deficit for the Colts at halftime, as Lions were still in control of this game. But then coming out of intermission, the Colts made it a 3-point game as Andrew Luck hit Dwayne Allen for a 19-yard touchdown pass, and they went for two. He went back to Allen, and the 2-point conversion was good, and so now it was 21-18 with the Lions just narrowly still in the lead. But the Lions would score about 6 minutes later when Matthew Stafford hit Amir Abdullah for an 11-yard touchdown pass, and now their lead was back up to double digits with the score 28-18. So that was the score heading into the fourth quarter, and less than a minute in, the Colts would get back on the board as Adam Vinatieri hit a 40-yard field goal to make it a 7-point game with the score Detroit 28, Indianapolis 21. Luck then would get a touchdown to Jack Doyle about midway through the fourth quarter, a 16-yard touchdown pass that tied the game at 28 after the extra point. So now the game was tied, but then with 4 minutes still left on the clock, Matthew Stafford hits Theo Riddick for a 13-yard touchdown pass, and the Lions were back in the lead now with the score 34-28. But then Luck would hit Jack Doyle once again the second time in this quarter. This one a 6-yard touchdown pass with less than a minute left on the clock to give the Colts a 1-point lead with the score 35-34. So now the Lions would get the ball back, and Stafford would get them in field goal range, and Matt Prater would hit a 43-yard field goal, his first field goal of the game that was good, and it was through the uprights, and the 43-yarder gave the Lions the lead with the score 37-35. So they were up by 2 points, and now there was just 4 seconds left on the clock, as the only thing left to do was kick the ball to the Colts. And of course the Colts were going to try to pull a miracle out as they were tossing the ball back and forth, lateraling the ball, but they just, instead of going forwards, they kept going backwards, and eventually they just threw the ball out of the end zone, and it was a safety as time expired, and the final score 39-35 as the Lions pull off the win on the road against the Colts. A big win for Detroit, starting off this season against a tough Colts team with quite a high-powered offense, as they showed, as Andrew Luck put up some big numbers. And Detroit's defense, as good as they are, had trouble containing them, but their offense put up some numbers as well. As Theo Riddick had quite the day, so did Matthew Stafford. Stafford was 31 for 39, 340 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. Theo Riddick, 7 carries for 45 yards and a touchdown. He also had 5 receptions for 63 yards and a touchdown as well. So 2 touchdowns for Riddick and 108 total yards. Amir Abdullah also had 12 carries for 63 yards and 5 receptions for 57 yards, as Amir Abdullah had 160 yards. in this game total. He also had a receiving touchdown as well, and Ebron also had a touchdown with 5 catches for 46 yards. Jones had 4 catches for 85 yards. And for the Colts, Andrew Luck, 31 for 47, 385 passing yards and 4 touchdowns. He also had 21 yards on the ground off of 3 carries. Frank Gore was the leading rusher for the Colts with 14 carries for 59 yards. And Dorsett had 4 receptions for 94 yards. T.Y. Hilton, 6 receptions for 79 yards. Dante Moncrief, 6 receptions for 64 yards and a touchdown. Dwayne Allen, 4 receptions for 53 yards and a touchdown. And Doyle had a pair of touchdowns, 3 catches, 35 yards. But Adam Vinatieri, he was 2 for 2 on the field goals. Prater was 1 for 1, that game winner. And of course, they ended up getting an extra 2 points moments later. But the field goal is the one that put them in the lead and would get them the victory. Hyder had 2 sacks for Detroit, and for the Colts, Walden had a sack as well. The Lions had 28 first downs, 25 first downs for the Colts. And on third down, the Colts were 9 for 16, 56%. The Lions were 5 for 9, 55%. So both teams converting more than half of their third downs, as these two teams were having trouble getting each other off the field. And the total net yards in this game for the Colts, 450. For the Lions, 448, about as close as can be. And for Detroit, on the ground, they netted 116. The Colts netted 82 yards on the ground. And through the air, the Colts netted 368. Andrew Luck was sacked twice and lost 17 yards. Detroit netted 332 through the air, as Stafford was sacked once for a loss of 8 yards in this game. And for the penalties, Detroit was penalized 8 times for 70 yards and just 5 penalties for 45 yards for the Colts, but Detroit still managed to pull off the victory even with those penalties. And in the red zone, both teams just could not be stopped, as they were both 100% 4 for 4 for both the Lions and the Colts in the red zone. Is once they could see it, once they could smell it, they were dancing in the end zone 4 times each from the red zone. But what a game, lots of scoring. If you like to see scoring, this was definitely the game for you. Exciting late game between these two Midwestern teams from opposite conferences. Of course, the Lions in the NFC, the Colts in the AFC, and the Lions in the NFC North, the Colts in the AFC South. It's about as opposite as it gets. But let me know what you thought about this game. What plays and performances stuck out to you? Leave the comment in the comment section below. Definitely interested to read your thoughts and opinions. Thank you very much for listening. It is greatly appreciated. I hope you're having a good day and having a great weekend and enjoying all the sports.